very dramatic start. Dear organizers and attendees of the conference, tere päevast. Ma ei räägi eesti keelt, so unfortunately I have to have my presentation in English. It's my pleasure and honor to be able to attend this conference and share some thoughts arising from my daily work. My unit at the Department for Rescue Services in the Finnish Ministry of Interior is responsible for national civil defense guidance and steering of the regional actors, national civil defense preparedness planning, national coordination of regional preparedness, and also other preparedness-related activities. The actual topic of my presentation is, of course, quite complicated. It has multiple levels in it, but I will do my best to squeeze it in 15 to 20 minutes, and I will stay at the general level, only characterizing the several issues, not going very deep into the details. Undeniably, both Russia's attack and NATO membership of Finland have already and will bring changes to Finnish civil protection. And actually, Russia's attack and show of ruthless power politics was an important driver of giving the final push for Finnish accession to NATO. And thus, in itself, it was a cause for a very great change in Finnish security and foreign policy. However, one could say that the NATO accession has not yet had any major impact on civil protection, at least on the national operational level. We deal with the same partners, same authorities, same municipalities, same counties, same ministries, and we don't see a big difference yet. But Finland, as of course other countries in Europe, if not the whole world, has now totally new kind of operational security environment that it used to have a few years ago. But still, I dare to say that the risk landscape is now somewhat similar than in, for example, 5 years ago. If you look at from the viewpoint of Finnish national risk assessment, there's a picture from our latest national risk assessment that was published February this year. And if you compare the risk assessment to the one compiled in 2018, it looks pretty similar. And I was the head of the working group for assessing Finnish national risks, and in 2018 I was the co-chair of the working group. And we had a lot of discussion, what has changed, what has not changed. Our risk assessment is event-based risk assessment. It's not a prediction of future, it's about possible events that could happen in Finland and threat Finnish national interests. As you can see, use of military force has been one of the cornerstone of Finnish civil protection, rescue services, and as we Finland call it, civil defense. The main thing has been that whilst the threat of armed attack against Finland cannot be ruled out, Finland will uphold its capability to protect the civilian population and important functions of civil society. So I tried to characterize the main changes we have had in last 2 years. First of all, public attitudes have changed. Actually, attitudes towards emergency services or towards public services in Finland generally have always been relatively high. And for few last years, rescue services has been in top 3 of the most trusted public organizations in Finland. Last year, after the beginning of Russia's attack, we in the ministry and regional rescue departments received probably hundreds, maybe thousands of worried citizen inquiries concerning civil defense shelters, evacuation preparedness, alerting system, etc. During good and peaceful times, people had, so to say, forgot the basic knowledge and the importance of civil defense capabilities. Now, majority of people, 9 out of 10 in Finland, think that these are very important as assets of safety and security. That's according to a recent survey report that was published this year. So this has changed a lot. The same goes with the political climate. Politicians had probably, some of them had forgot about everything about the civil defense. Despite the identified and assessed risks, we have been struggling for years to get reasonable amount of resources in our budgetary system to assess, maintain and develop our system's capabilities and assets. But last in this year, we have got some new personnel at least to take care of national preparedness planning, etc. At the same time, though, this year, for example, the state of Finnish public finances has gotten a bit darker, and we still have quite a lot of development needs in our civil protection system. We have had a new government since June, and the new government program includes some policy changes on civil protection and civil defense. Some extracts that highlight the civil protection from new Finnish government program. It says, changes in Finland's security environment, changes in the structure of society, technological advances, and adaptation to climate change and extreme weather phenomena require the development and strengthening of the rescue and emergency response center system. It says also that the government sees rescue services and emergency response centers as key internal security services, which also play an important role in serious disruptions in normal conditions and in state of emergencies. It also says that civil defense will be strengthened, for example, by reforming the regulation on preparedness for civil defense and by developing the organization of civil defense work. One big change, of course, is the national adaptation process to NATO link processes. We have had companionship with NATO, but full membership it requires some adaptation to processes and to structures in NATO, and that is still ongoing and not even nearly finished. One change, very practical change in Finnish civil protection has been the volume of civil protection and humanitarian in-kind assistance given abroad during last 20 months. It has required us to change our own processes and to add personnel, since the national coordination is done in the Ministry of Interior. As we have heard today, the amount of in-kind assistance, civil protection experts going around the world, mostly to Ukraine, has been an enormous task at the European level. We have been doing a lot in the Ministry of Interior and in the rescue services of Finland during last few years, but some things don't change and that's the basic setup for Finnish civil protection and civil defense. It hasn't changed. All these elements, they require a lot of collaboration and cooperation with different authorities, civic organization, business life, individuals, and this all is done according to the Finnish concept of comprehensive security. That means together. If you look those elements, in my opinion, you cannot overemphasize the importance of self-preparedness. We have heard similar statements today already. But the proper level of self-preparedness of the individuals, households, business facilities, public institutions such as schools, hospitals, etc., that is one of the key elements of protection of civilians and civil defense. We have different means also. We rely on voluntary moving to safer areas if needed. We have a system for evacuation. At the moment we are revising our national guideline for planning and execution of evacuations in wartime or in times of threat of war. Finland has more than 1,300 kilometers of land border with Russia. Thus, that requires quite a lot of potential evacuees also, though the border area is quite sparsely populated in northern and eastern part of Finland, but still the need for evacuation preparedness does not limit to border areas. We have to take care of preparedness planning in inland, inner Finland also. There might be some targets also. That requires a lot of coordination in planning, and rescue services in Finland is responsible for evacuation planning coordination. It's done with municipalities. They have a very important role providing, for example, the premises for evacuees. And also a lot of cooperation with social and health services. In the beginning of this year, Finland moved to a county-based system on rescue services, social and health services, and that has changed a bit the planning structures in Finland. In case of emergencies, we can also protect the civilian people by sheltering in place, indoors or in temporary shelters, but we have quite good system of civil defense shelters in Finland. We have both public shelters and private shelters that are owned by regular apartment buildings, workplaces, commercial and public buildings, such as schools, hospitals, offices, and so on. Monitoring, alarming, alerting, we have also pretty good systems. We have quite good coverage of siren system, TV and radio warning broadcast system, and 112 app for alerting the people. There's still room for developing them anyways. One of the key assets that we are a bit worried is the multi-role and skilled regional rescue departments and their operational capabilities. We have we don't have too many. We don't have enough firefighters. We have to increase the amount of firefighters pretty much in the next 5 years or 10 years. And some of them, those regional rescue departments, they lack quite a lot of material, and we are planning and working out how to provide the needed equipment. Last year, we launched a study project on civil defense and civil defense shelters. Quite a big study project. It has been running from the end of last year and is now in a conclusion phase. The study consisted of two different study projects or sub-projects. Their aim was to examine the state of civil defense shelters in Finland and development needs, and also to examine cross-sectorally the overall state of preparedness in other civil defense operational tasks. The report on shelters was published in August, and the other report will be published, I hope, in this month. At the same time, as we have been running this study project, we have been collecting and gathering information on other sources. To a little bit more than a month ago, we made a field visit to Ukraine that was hosted by the State Emergency Services of Ukraine, and it was an eye-opening visit to Ukraine, and we got a lot of new viewpoints for Finnish civil protection also. We have been studying other reports and studies concerning the role of civil protection and rescue services in Ukraine. To mention, Swedish FOI and MSB has published quite recent reports which are very useful for Finnish purposes also. We have, as part of our regular oversight and steering activities, collected additional information and assessments from the regional rescue departments and their operational civil defense capabilities. Next, I'm going to present some of the findings in all of these efforts. At the moment, Finland has around 50,500 civil defense shelters with space for 4.8 million people. We have 5.5 million inhabitants in Finland. As you can see on the map, they are not evenly distributed in Finland. That's because until '91 there was so-called protective sites or areas that needed to build civil defense shelters. After that, the whole country has had the same standards and same regulation building new shelters. So if new apartment building floor space exceeds 1,200 square meters, it has to build a shelter. So we are building all the time new shelters. These shelters, these modern shelters that have been built after the 70s, we call them modern shelters, and they have air conditioning, air filtering systems, and the technical requirements are pretty much up to date. 80%, more than 80% of these 50,500 shelters are called modern shelters. Surely there's also need for improvement regarding the technical condition and the geographical coverage of shelters, but as I said, the findings were quite positive, even a bit better than we thought. Some of the other identified development needs, there's a lot of them. This is not a summary of the things we lack. I cannot go into very detailed in this conference. We don't have enough time, but probably you as experts, you recognize many of them and already are quite familiar with most of these. Some of them need more serious thinking, planning, also new financing, maybe new legislation also, and building up the capabilities. Some less, I would say only tweaking of the system a bit. Thing I would like to emphasize that these are not solely problems or issues that can be solved or improved by national or regional authorities. We have to engage the broad international cooperation between neighboring countries such as Estonia, Sweden, Norway. For example, the operational cross-border planning exercises, we have to do it more. And we as a Finland, we have to be active on that. The development needs engagement with individuals and local communities, municipalities, and volunteer organizations, and they have to be empowered to bear their own responsibilities to the fullest extent. Few things I would like to point out from this slide. The public awareness of the population regarding to the civil defense, we have to improve that. We have to improve the individual skills and knowledge. The role of communication is critical on this. We will continue civil defense shelter building now and in the future. We have to revise our tactics on rescue operations when it comes to armed attacks or armed conflicts. We don't have the proper civilian EOD or demining system in Finland. That is one thing we have to think very seriously. We are currently running a revision of Emergency Powers Act in Finland. It has provisions on civil defense emergency powers, and we will take these latest conflicts in account when revising that. At the end of this year, or maybe in the beginning of next year, we will start revising our Rescue Act, which concerns the preparedness for civil defense, and that's one possibility to improve the system. Our resources and capabilities are quite limited, as we have heard, and national and European level, we have to do more to ensure the material side of preparedness, and also practice the request and receivance of assistance abroad. So this is Finnish progress in a nutshell. Thank you for your attention. I'm happy to answer questions if we still have some time.
So one question, and a quick one. That, you described that public attitude has changed in one slide. How is it visible? How would you know that this attitude is changed?
Yeah, we have this system of doing these surveys. There are security attitudes survey, and the lowest level of regarding to civil defense and its importance. The lowest level was 2014. Only 40% of Finnish population thought that it's important, and now the latest survey says that 9 out of 10 think that civil defense shelters, evacuation planning and preparedness is important. So we constantly do surveys. And that's
numbers are better, but still you have to say that same time individual skills and knowledge must be still improved. This has not happened yet. Why?
As I told, there was a long peaceful time. As a kid, I played in my shelter in my apartment building. We know that there's shelters, there's evacuation planning, but we don't know how they are being executed, and for example, the evacuation, how to use the shelter properly, and we have to improve those skills and knowledge. Well, what is the responsibility of different authorities? What is the responsibility of individuals? What is the responsibility of the institution or agency.
We have here in Estonia a lot of talks about all the Finland has those shelters and they have no problems with that, and any case of emergency they will use them, and we here in Estonia are not so good situation. You're describing that it's also same time problem in Finland.
Yeah, no, well, not the same kind of problem with shelters. You have problem with your ground.
Attitude, yes.
It's not easy to build shelters, but the surveys also say that middle-aged people in Finland, they know how to prepare. They have best preparedness. Younger generations don't have. Older generations, they probably can't find information from the internet or any other electrical sources.
Kiitos, Jussi.
Aitäh.
Yeah, let's do it this way. Ja, Jussi Korhonen siis Soome siseministeeriumi päästeosakonna elanikkonnakaitse üksuse juht oli teie ees.